For years, many Europeans have wondered why Americans often seem so confident. Is it the way they speak? The way they chase opportunities? Or the way they seem comfortable dreaming bigger than expected? Many visitors arrive in the United States with a mix of curiosity and stereotypes. They expect the confidence to be just about money, success, or the size of everything around them. But after spending time in America, many discover something different. They notice the everyday things: strangers starting conversations, people openly sharing their opinions, communities built around big goals, and a mindset that encourages trying new things instead of always playing it safe. Suddenly, what once looked like arrogance starts to feel different. For many European visitors, American confidence isn't just about wealth or being the biggest. It comes from a culture that often values optimism, ambition, and the belief that new possibilities are always worth exploring. So what exactly made Europeans see America in a completely different way? Let's get into it.
On a rodeo later.
Done a rodeo right now.
So nice.
Feeling like a proper cowboy.
Dallas is amazing. Unbelievable. So nice. I'm coming back here, I'll tell you what. People are so nice here. So positive. I don't know what it is. They're just so they're just enjoying life. It's amazing.
They're very friendly.
Yeah, so friendly.
So I'm a European that just got to New York City about a month ago, and I'm going to take you on a journey on all the things that I find interesting. This common here, and I think that is so true. Like, Europeans have kind of this feel about Americans that whatever they say is maybe not as genuine, especially when it comes to something positive or like compliments or something like that. And I think it really is the opposite. I think Americans are really genuinely super nice people, and they're just a little bit misunderstood. And I think us Europeans can be quite stuck up about certain topics. I think, we can learn from that. Just be nice.
Okay. So I was just walking in the store, and the lady came to me. She says, hey. I'm like, what? You know, like, what's going on? My Eastern European face, what? And she was like, I love your dress. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in the United States. Women give each other compliments here. It's so funny. I love that.
You know why I think Americans feel louder and happier and more confident than most of the other nations? I think it's the way Americans celebrate everything. It still blows my mind. I'm from the Czech Republic, okay? So where I'm from, if nothing happened, it's a great day. We love that for us. But in the US, first day of school, celebration. Last day of school, celebration. New job, new house, new season. Sometimes it feels like new personality. Celebration. You guys even have a grocery store that's called Piggly Wiggly. I just want to go in and like jump around and be happy and shop and spend all my money in that store. And I do know there's always this one person. Oh, that's because of consumerism. But can we also admit it's kind of fun? I think we all kind of like it. It is a lot of marketing. They are meant to get your attention, so you spend more money. Also, I used to think Americans are just being extra. And I don't think that's it. I think the difference is that in Eastern Central Europe, we would always ask why. And here, the mentality is more like, why not? Why not make it loud? Why not make it bright? Why not make it a little stupid so it makes people laugh? And you guys love that about you. You're not afraid to look silly in front of other people. If it's fun, you'll just do it, and you don't worry about what your neighbors think, like us Eastern Europeans. I love that so much. Anyway, what is like the most random thing you guys have ever celebrated? Because I know there will be some unhinged answers.
Did y'all know the rest of the freaking world hates us? Their media is making us out to be like rude heathens that are walking around pew-pewing everybody. Yeah, on a little rabbit hole about Europeans visiting America, the culture shock, which is absolutely hilarious. But there's one common trend. We're all going, Americans are so nice. I had no idea. I went to this state and they started talking to me. Well, yeah, we're normal humans. What the heck has your government been telling you about us? I didn't know they hated us.
Americans do things with a level of confidence that Brits reserve for absolutely nothing. Restaurants, I feel like this is done more in the US. If things aren't up to scratch, you best believe that Americans will be sending that food back. And you know what? I'm with them. I am so with them. It costs so much money to go out and eat nowadays that why should we expect anything less than what we've asked for? So if they get the order wrong, if the steak isn't cooked to the right temperature, are calm about it, they're respectful about it, but they will just say, look, I'm not happy with the food, can you send it back? And the customer service here is just like, absolutely, what can I do to help? How can I correct the situation? And I now have got into the habit of doing that if I'm not happy with something. Whereas back home, I think we received the wrong meal, we eat half of it, we apologise to the waiter for being confusing that we ate half, or we probably lie and say, when the waiter comes over and says like, oh, how was it? I hope you enjoyed everything. You'll probably be like, yeah, it was lovely. I'm just so full, you know. Or at the end of the meal, when you're done, you'll probably be like, sorry, but I think I did order the salmon, but I did receive the chicken. I just wanted to let you know. Coffee orders. It'll be like, can I have a quad oat half sweet extra with cold foam on top with a sprinkle of cinnamon? Can you make sure that it's not too cold but not too hot? Like, I have seen it all. I've been with some of my friends and like the way they're ordering, I'm like, it's a whole operation. I now do this, so I'm not judging. UK, it's very much like you'd only order what you can see on the menu. I'm sorry, I know it's not on the menu, but like, do you have tea? Like coffee, they'll just be like, can I have an Americano with cold milk? Complimenting strangers. I love your outfit, oh, I love your hair, like so many compliments. Oh, I love your accent. In the UK, people will probably have the exact same thought as that. They'll never say it. They'll love someone's coat and they won't ever say it. And then 14 years later, they'll talk about this coat that this person wore and how much they loved it. It's like, where's this come from? Why didn't you tell me at the time?
I'm a Brit living in America, and I just wanted to comment on how good the American hospitality has been. So we're currently on a road trip right now, watching all of the England World Cup games. So by the Mississippi River right now. Try not to get too close, don't want to get bit by a croc. But yeah, I've had hundreds of DMs, thousands of messages and comments on my videos. It's people giving us recommendations, advice. We've had invitations to have barbecues with people's families, people offering to fill our cars up with petrol for the road trip, local businesses offering, you know, come to ours, have a look around, we'll show you what we do. People messaging to say if you need anything, let us know. So it's been pretty well overwhelming, to be honest, but really appreciated. So we're on our way into Nashville right now. We're going to be there for the weekend, and then after that we're heading over to Boston for the second England game, and then New York for the third England game as well. So I'm going to keep making these videos. Please keep putting your recommendations in and keep the messages coming as well. We are trying to tick a lot of them off that you've been putting in, and yeah, follow along for the journey.
So many of you reached out after my last video that I had to say this one more time. The media has been lying to you about America, and the World Cup just proved it. For years, European and Canadians have been fed the same narrative. America is dangerous, Americans are ignorant, the culture is shallow, the food will kill you, and people believed it. Why? Because they saw it on the news, they read it online, they never actually went. Then the World Cup came, and millions of people who had never set foot in the US suddenly showed up. And you know what they found? Friendly people, incredible energy, stadiums that blew their minds, hospitality they didn't even expect. Video after video of Europeans and Canadians saying, I had no idea, I was completely wrong, this is nothing like what I was told. And that's exactly the problem. The media doesn't profit from you having a good experience. It profits from fear, division, outrage. A Canadian family having the time of their life in Texas doesn't get clicks, you know? A crime story does. So that's all you ever see. That's all you ever hear. And slowly, without even realizing it, your entire worldwide view gets shaped by people who want you to be afraid. And look, in my opinion, the World Cup didn't just bring football to America. It accidentally broke the most powerful propaganda machine in the world, because people finally went and saw it for themselves. So stop letting a screen decide what you think about a place. Go experience it, because I promise you the truth is always different from what they're selling you. Always.
There's no Americans in, is there? Good. They're too confident, and it's not their fault, it's their parents' fault. Because they believed in them growing up and gave them emotional support. I've heard American parents tell their kids they love them. sober. During the day. My father told me he loved me once in my entire life, burped and passed out. Still the highlight of my Holy Communion. If you're not familiar with that, it's a music festival for Catholic people. When you're 7, where you dress up like a little professional snooker player for the day. Or a terrifying child bride if you're a girl, in fucking Heelys for Jesus. Then you get loads of guilt money from your alcoholic uncle. There's a fiver, I never touched you. Come on, fair play.
Come see me on tour.
I feel like the American confidence gets a lot of criticism, but it's something that I've really appreciated as a foreigner. We were literally just walking Venice Beach and Joe sneezes and some guy comes up and he's like, oh, bless you. And then as we're walking along the beach, this lady comes up to me and she approaches me in such a like familiar, friendly way that I genuinely thought she was talking to someone else. And she said like, oh my God, I love your shirt. And by the time she'd kind of walked off, I kind of realized, oh shit, she was talking to me. And I turned around and quickly said thank you. But it was just the way she approached me. It was so easy. And it was like she was talking to a friend of hers, which is like why I was so confused.
Let me tell you a story that shows a lot the differences between European, especially Eastern European mentality and American mentality. We've been a few days ago with my husband and this fancy restaurant. We were celebrating our anniversary, and next to our table there was this girl. And this is kind of restaurant that you don't go just for it, you know, it just, you go there to celebrate something. And she was all by herself. She was pretty nice dressed up, all by herself, and like nobody around. And at one point she started like to joyfully share with everyone that it's her birthday and she's celebrating here her birthday, and she was taking picture of herself and like sharing with everybody her joy. And I mean, like an Eastern European, if I were on by myself on my birthday, I would probably just stay home or would go to like less fancy restaurant and will just, I don't know, be at the bar pretending that I'm waiting for someone. I don't know, I will be like ashamed kind of. And she was not. She was absolutely not. And at one point I was like, wait a minute, this girl wanted to go to a fancy restaurant and she went. Probably she suggested it to her friends, but they couldn't make it or they didn't want to come here with her. And she decided that, what the heck, I want to go to a fancy restaurant on my own, and I have sufficiently of self-confidence to go there on my own, to be comfortable around other people's and not giving any damn about their opinion. And definitely she would not give a damn about my opinion. And I was so admirative of her after all. And I was like, I would never see something like this in France or in Russia, where I'm come from. People would just not go to the restaurants on their own because it would be considered as lame and people would be judging them. And here it's fine. And by the way, what I noticed that no one were like judging her or looking at her strangely or like whispering about her. People were occupied on their own plates, talking with their own partners or friends. And it was actually a great night for everyone. So let me know what you think about it and follow for more.
So I've seen a lot of videos of Europeans, especially a lot of people from the UK who are in America watching the World Cup, and their videos are basically saying how they underestimated how much they would like America. Well, I lived there for over 10 years. I did 3 years in San Francisco and around 7 years in Houston, Texas. And I can tell you exactly what it is. It's not the food. It's not the amazing locations. I mean, these are all great. But I promise you, it is the people. They are just on another level of happiness. And for example, in the UK, if you're walking down the road and you don't know someone and they're going to walk past you, their head will be down. They won't say good morning. They won't say hello. But I promise you, in America, it's completely different. They will say, hey, how's your morning? And you'll have a quick chat with them and their vibe will be insane. One of the most common things that I've said about American people is that they seem to just be happier to be alive. I don't know if it's just me, but every time I meet an American, they just seem happier than everybody else to be alive.
I was just thinking about this moment in university that made me realize that Americans are a little bit delusional. One of my friends asked me if it's true that you're told that one day you can be president when you're a kid. And I said, yeah, of course, why wouldn't you tell kids that? And he looked at me and said, in France, that would be insane. And I actually paused because I was like, wait, you guys aren't walking around thinking that one day you could run the country if you wanted to? Because in the US, that kind of is the mindset. Even if it's a little bit unrealistic, you aim high, set big goals, and you're taught to be confident. And honestly, I kind of love that about the US. Even if it's not rational, I think it's quite powerful that you're raised to believe that you can achieve big things. But I understand that in other places, confidence is more about being measured, not assuming you deserve everything, and not overestimating yourself. And I genuinely didn't realize that until it was pointed out that not everyone grows up being told that they could run their country.
One of the things I really love about Americans is how confident they are, and it seems to be something that's ingrained in Americans from a really young age. So when we moved to America last year, me and my husband and the 3 children were all quite reserved. We're quite quiet people. We're shy, we're introverted, apart from being around each other. But since coming over here and being around people that are just so confident, it's really obvious how different we've been raised to just be quiet, don't show off, don't be too loud, don't talk about yourself, be wary approaching people. But I've really noticed a change in my 3 children. So they are attending a school and they have lessons in being confident and presenting. So even she's now 5, but even my 4-year-old, when she started transitional kindergarten, they had her on a weekly basis like presenting to the class, saying, hi, this is my name, this is what I'm going to talk about, and they get graded on how loud they speak, how clearly they speak, what they can improve on. And I guess it's kind of like show and tell that we had in the UK, but that kind of fizzled out, and I remember it being optional as well. This is being in an American school, they really are expected to do this. And it's also when you go to like children's playgrounds and parks, a lot of the children will come up to my children and be like, hey, my name's so and so, would you like to play with me? And my kids at first were a bit like, oh, and really nervous and shy and didn't know what to say. But now they're like, yeah, my name is so and so and let's play. But when we first moved out here, it was really weird. And now that's not the case. And I've really noticed that my 3 children are becoming more confident, and it's great to see them coming out of their shell. I don't think it's going to be something me and my husband will change, because we've had 40 years of being told and learning not to be confident, being reserved and quite quiet. And yeah, but I do like it. I think it's really good. I think it's great that the children are learning to be confident and to go up to other people and say, this is my name, this is what I do, to take up space and just be confident. I really like it.
I'm so glad that Europeans are finding out that Americans are like your crazy uncle that you accidentally had to stay with for a weekend because your divorced parents both decided to go on vacation and not tell each other. And he's crazy, but not in the gross, creepy way that you would think. In the alarming amount of homemade explosives and a ton of glass in the backyard that he doesn't encourage you to put shoes on for way. And you are only going to eat takeout and boiled hot dogs and sips of his beer, but you will get to ride a four-wheeler, you will get to make homemade fireworks, and he'll probably let you try cigarettes.
I think is really sad is how much Americans get hated on, especially by Europeans. Lived in America for a year now, and I actually think that Americans are the most happy, positive, like really nice people ever. Like, really funny because I live in New York and everyone is always like, oh my god, New Yorkers are so mean, people in New York are so mean. But I think like people in New York are just like maybe the least friendly of the Americans, but because they are still American, they are still like really nice people. Examples is when I walk down the street here sometimes, like especially if I'm like on the way to a night out, so many girls will stop me in the street and be like, girl, you look so good. Like I was walking to dinner the last day, some random girl shouted at me, yes girl, I love your strut. And I was like, oh my god, thank you, babe. Like one time I was walking back from the gym and this American girl stopped me and she was like, okay girl, I see you, you're in the gym. Like just so randomly all the time. At home, I don't think a random girl has ever complimented me in the street once. So I think the American culture is very uplifting and very positive. And whenever I talk to Americans, they're always asking me like, why did I move to America? What am I doing here? And whenever I tell them like why I moved, like what my goals are, they're so encouraging. They're like, I am so proud of you. You're doing amazing. Like, how amazing is it that you left and you moved here? Like, you're gonna have a great life. That's always the attitude that people have. It's very uplifting and very positive. And I think in Europe, a lot of people have a very negative attitude, especially towards others' success. People like do not want you to be doing anything different. They don't want you to be going outside of the box. They want you to stay in the box that they made for you. Huge reason as to why a lot of Americans are very successful and a lot of like the richest people in the world are American is because the attitude here is just so different to anywhere else. It's really sad how much Americans get hated on, but actually it just makes sense because miserable people like just want other people to be miserable. Or another thing I notice is obviously because I'm Irish and I live in America, sometimes people will comment on my posts, oh my god, I could never live in America. Who wants to live in America? Why would you ever go there? I'm like, please don't come here. Like, we just don't need that negativity here. Like, we're keeping up the positive vibes. Crazy the disdain that people have towards Americans. Also, like, so many of my friends in college were American. And they're still like my best friends to this day, and I made like so many new American friends since I moved to New York. And older as well, I've realized now, like looking back, I was honest to God conditioned into hating Americans. Like when I used to work in a restaurant in Ireland, when Americans would come in, everyone would be like, ugh, Americans. And now looking back on it, like, you know, they were always the nicest people. They always tipped extremely well. Like, they always asked, like, what I was doing, very friendly. I feel like now I was, like, tricked into hating them. Like, it was propaganda. I was brainwashed into hating Americans from a young age. And the story, I think, is if you're a European who hates Americans, I invite you to examine your bias against them and really look into, like, why you hate them. Do you hate them for a good reason, or do you hate them because you were brainwashed into hating them?
American men and women are so much more confident than Australians. I do agree with this 100%. From my experience in America, I just found that they're not really going to put you down. If you talk about your success or your job or whatever's going on in your life, they boost you up. They want to talk about it. They want to hear you, you know, talk about all your success in your life. Whereas in Australia, it's seen as a bad thing to talk about, you know, how much money you make or what you do for a living or something you succeeded at. It's like, oh, well, you're like up yourself for talking about that. Australia, everything's a joke and everything is sarcastic and people just don't want to hear about your success or they feel like you're gloating about it. And I just feel like that really puts a damper on people's confidence. Whereas in America, they want to hear you talk about it. So I feel like that's where the confidence comes from, that they feel like they can be their own person, they can be themselves and not really be judged for it or spoken down upon by their friends or family or randoms off the street. I remember when I was walking down the street in LA, I was in downtown LA and I was wearing this outfit. This chick who was on the road literally put down her car window and said to me, girl, I love your outfit. You look amazing. And that gave me such a boost of confidence. In Australia, people just look you up and down and are just judging you. I do agree Americans are much more confident, both men and women, compared to Australians, but I think because they have so much more support and they're not really judging other people as much as they are in Australia.
This concept is so hard to explain to Americans. Americans that grew up in the US do not understand what is so special about how Americans think. So I grew up in Japan and I lived very briefly in Argentina for a while and I've traveled around a couple different places. There is nothing that beats American confidence. Why is it good? Why is it bad? I'll start with the bad just to get it out of the way. But the bad things are that, you know, countries outside the US are going to think that Americans are stuck up, and that's kind of the stereotype that Americans already have. And there are such things as like personal limitations. Like I go to the gym, but I'm never going to be Arnold, right? Like I'm just not built like him. I don't have his genetics. It's just not going to work out if I want to be like him. But what's good about American confidence? Let me tell you. Whenever you talk about doing something to better your life in the US versus in other countries, people are overwhelmingly supportive and positive, and they believe that you actually have a chance of being able to do that. You tell someone in the US, hey, I'm trying to start a new business, they'll support you, maybe even financially. If you start like a brand or something, they'll start buying your stuff. online. They'll be like the first ones like, oh, look, I'm the first investor in your guys' company. That sort of attitude. Most places, you don't get that level of enthusiasm and like wanting to participate and like believing that things can happen. That's a very uniquely American thing. And confidence is one of the most important aspects of risk-taking behavior. And things like starting a business or investing in something that's kind of high risk, high reward, like venture capital, that's a very American mentality. It's an American mindset. Not to mention in general, wouldn't you rather be around people that are like optimistic and enthusiastic than people that are like depressed and try to tell you like, no, you can't do that thing? Fuck all of that. Nah, this is another reason why fucking America #1. Grew up in Japan, but I'm staying here. I fucking love it here. Follow me for more.
I've got to say, collectively, we owe the USA an apology. And when I say we, I mean the entire world. And that apology is needed purely because of how much judgment the world has thrown onto the US over the last few years. The American people are probably the most genuine, welcoming, humble people that I've ever met in my life. 100%, if you get the chance, go to the US and travel and see it for yourself. I promise you, you won't regret it.
Americans have this incredible superpower of making you feel like you've been best friends for 10 years within exactly 5 minutes of meeting them. If you're from Europe, this completely breaks your brain. You meet someone at a networking event or a bar, you have this deep, high-energy conversation about business, life and passion projects, and you leave the interaction thinking, wow, I just made a genuine connection. But here's the culture shock. In the US, that intense friendliness isn't the start of a deep relationship. It's just a baseline for a polite, casual interaction. It's an amazing warm vibe in the moment, but it doesn't mean you're locked into each other's lives. Back home, if someone opens up to you like that, you're basically invited to their wedding. Out here, it just means you had a great Tuesday evening together. Once you stop taking the instant warmth as a lifetime commitment, it actually becomes a lot more fun to navigate. But it definitely takes some getting used to. How long did it take to you figuring out that difference? Let me know.
Really hope all of our new European friends, when they go back home to their home countries, tell all their friends, no, Americans really are just that friendly. They really are just that nice and that welcoming, and it's not fake. They mean it. Because I've just watched several videos, but one in particular of a man being beside himself with glee because he is in America, and an American walked by him and told him good morning. He was like, I've never experienced anything like this. Americans are so nice. Yeah, we are. We've tried to tell you that, and everybody just said, no, you guys are fake. You don't mean it. I'm not going to tell anybody to have a good day if I don't mean it. Am I going to lose sleep if you have a bad day? No. But I wish you well. I want good things for you. To act like having a little chat with the barista is an act is crazy to me. I would feel rude and frankly a little awkward if I wasn't like, how's your day going? Can you believe this wet? I would feel like an asshole if I was just like, give me a latte. And that was the end of the interaction. Sometimes when I mobile order at Dunkin', I pull up and they'll go, hey, how are you? And I just tell them my name. And then I'm always like, you rude ass. She said, how are you? And if I catch myself, I apologize. And I go, you know what? That was a shitty thing for me to do. I'm so sorry. How are you? And I don't know what it is about the American spirit that we are so generous in that way. And we are so welcoming to people. We just have a good nature, I feel like, overall. All right. This is speaking in generalities. But I just think about when I go to UT games. And rival fans will be in town. Now, is there a little bit of shit talk? Of course. But in general, the vibe is hope you have a great time. I've been to rival fan stadiums. Same thing. There is a little good-natured ribbing, but ultimately they're like, so glad you guys are here. Hope you enjoy it. Go eat here. Go see this. Have a safe trip home. We like people. And it's starting to occur to me that that's not a universal experience.